All right, and we will go ahead and get started with wide receiver Ben Skowronek. Ben, your first question will be from Carter Carls.
Hi, Ben. After the Louisville game, you talked about how Ian Book's approach kind of changed, how he got really focused, really kind of mad at himself into the film room and really just had that laser focus. And I'm wondering what you've kind of seen from him these past couple of weeks since the Clemson game, if it's been kind of similar or what you've kind of seen from his approach.
Yeah. Like I mentioned after that game, he's been in the film room every day, working just to get better every single day and just having that mindset of, improvement and growth. So, if you're in here after practice at the Goog late at night, you're probably going to see Ian. He's in here every single day, just working to get better and improve his overall game mentally and physically.
We'll go next to Chuck Freeby.
Ben, Tommy Rees talked about situational execution being a problem in the ACC championship game and a focus going into this game with Alabama. Can you give us some examples of where the situational execution broke down in that game and what you guys have been working on?
Yeah, if you look at that game, I think the first 3 drives, we were moving the ball really well. We just need to execute better on third downs and in the red zone. We wholeheartedly believe that if we scored touchdowns, on those early drives of the game, and the outcome would have been completely different. So, our focus these past couple of days, work days of practice has been third down and red zone. We just need to execute down there. All the teams, that win championships are able to execute in the red zone, execute on third downs, and keep drives alive. So that's been a point of emphasis all season, but especially, these last couple of weeks.
We'll go next to Dylan Sin.
Hey, Ben, I wanted to ask you about your decision to transfer to Notre Dame last year and what this last year has been like for you. Are these the type of games that you wanted to play in when you transferred, and how excited are you to be playing in the playoff?
Yeah, 100%. When I made that decision to transfer, I talked to the people close to me, especially my family, and, being a kid growing up, just being a big college football fan, I wanted to play in the college football playoff. I wanted to play in games like the Rose Bowl, games like earlier in the season versus Clemson where it was 1 versus 3, games like that. You watch those games growing up and you can just imagine yourself as a little kid, in those shoes, making big plays in those games. So, the decision to transfer definitely wasn't easy, but, I knew, the destination I wanted to play at. I wanted to play in games like these, and there's only a handful of teams in the country that year in and year out are playing in the college football playoff. So I'm very happy with my decision to transfer. It hasn't been easy going through a pandemic, missing all spring ball, missing a lot of time to learn everything, build relationships and all that. But at the end of the day, I'm very happy with my decision, and this year's been unbelievable despite everything that's gone on.
We'll go next to Ralph Russo.
Good morning, Ben. Been asking your teammates, so this has obviously been a very weird year. Are there things that personally you've missed or that have been maybe a little more frustrating or difficult to deal with than others as you guys, go through all these protocols and restrictions to get to play?
Yeah. Obviously I think everybody in the world's had, they've been missing stuff, but for me, it's just, spending time with my family, all that stuff, spending time with other people's families as well after games and just kind of building relationships, getting to know people and all that. But, also just the small things like eating together as a team. We do it with a glass divider in between us. So it's just different this year. I miss those meals and just getting to know people, the locker room, all that stuff. It just all looks different. So there's definitely a lot of stuff that we all miss, but it's definitely those relationships for me.
We'll go next to John Finneran.
Hi, Ben. I wonder if you could tell us what you've seen so far in preparations for Alabama, what kind of defense they've got, any particular players, and how does their defense compare to some of the teams that you've played this season?
Yeah, just the first thing that pops out on film is their team speed. They have a lot of team speed on defense. Being one of the top defenses year in and year out in the SEC, you're going to expect that. But, obviously their secondary, led by Patrick Surtain. He's a heck of a football player. He'll be drafted pretty high in the next draft. So I'm excited for the opportunity to line up against him. But overall, they're a really good defense. We're going to have to bring our A game on Friday.
We'll go next to Jeff Spiegel.
Ben, you mentioned Surtain. Talk about him and, what makes him the best cornerback in the nation, in your opinion?
I think it starts with his feet. He has really good feet, able to mirror routes. But when you combine that with his length and overall athleticism, that's going to make him a top cornerback prospect for the upcoming NFL draft. So he has all the intangibles. But, I'm excited to go out there on Friday and compete against him.
We'll go next to Pete Byrne.
Hey, Ben. Just wanted to talk to you about the respect or perhaps the lack thereof being given to the team heading into this game. I mean, you guys have arguably the top win in the nation this year. You were in the top 5 all season long, and yet I know you don't look at projections or point spreads, but you guys are considered maybe the largest underdog of this bowl season. I wonder to what effect that motivates you guys.
Yeah, obviously we're going to have, motivation, having the chip on our shoulder and all that. But games like these where, people are talking about it, you turn on TV, you see all these promos, commercials, just people talking about it. We tune all that out. I couldn't tell you what the narrative is around this game. I know we're the underdog, obviously. They're the number 1 seed, we're the number 4 seed. But, it's just up to us to go out there and compete, compete every single play and go out there and get the win. We're not worried about the spread. We're not worried about all that. I couldn't even tell you what all that means, honestly. So we're excited for the opportunity to play in the Rose Bowl and play in the college football playoff and just compete every single play.
We'll go next to Michael Casagrande.
I was just wondering how similar is Alabama to Clemson defensively in what you've seen on film?
Yeah, Alabama keeps it a little more, I don't want to say simple, but Clemson has some pretty exotic schemes. So you never know what you're going to get on each third down. But obviously, they both have great players on defense. They have a lot of future pros on defense. So, the talent level is pretty similar between, a Clemson team and an Alabama team.
We'll go next to Chris Heidel.
Hey, Ben, thanks for taking my question this morning or this afternoon almost. What was it like going down to Texas to play in that big stadium in AT&T Stadium? It's like the biggest scoreboard and everything. Are you going to be like all when you get there?
I don't think so. I've played in some pretty big stadiums throughout my career, but certainly it's one of the biggest. But at the end of the day, it's a football game. It's the same 100-yard field, same dimensions as every other field we played on. So, I think maybe when you first walk in for the walkthrough, you might have, a little reaction. But when it's game time, you don't worry about the size of the stadium. You don't worry about the fans and all that. All that matters is between the lines. So, like I said, it's the same dimension as playing it on a high school field. It's nothing different than Pee Wee football and all that. It's the same football field.
And we will wrap it up with AP Stedham.
Good morning, Ben.
Good morning.
Ben, what's the difference for you playing against a relatively smaller cornerback and a cornerback with some length? And then also you transferred from Northwestern, the Big Ten, they played the ACC schedule this year, Notre Dame. What is the differences in those two leagues?
To answer your question, I'm a bigger receiver. So, going against the smaller cornerbacks, obviously jump balls are definitely in play for me every single play. But, I think a good cornerback, I don't think it matters, their size or their stature. At the end of the day, that you just got to measure it with heart and stuff and playmaking ability. And then to answer the second part of your question, there's definitely some differences between the Big Ten and the ACC. The Big Ten, it was, a lot of defensive heavy focus, run the ball, stop the run, all that, just some hard-nosed football, especially in the Big Ten West where I playing schools like Iowa, Wisconsin, year in, year out. You better stop the run and you better be able to run the ball. The ACC, was a mixture of that. There's some teams that aired it out. There's some teams that ran the ball a lot. You just never knew what you're going to get week to week. But I only had 1 year of playing against these teams, so it's not like I knew exactly each year how, the teams would play in the Big Ten. You had a pretty good feel that Wisconsin was going to run the ball, Iowa was going to run the ball, all that stuff. But, it's been fun to adjust to a new league and just, learn different styles of play and all that.
All right. We will wrap it up with you there. Thank you very much, Ben.
Thank you, guys.